In today's video, we're going to be discussing Bitcoin. Is it time to buy Microstrategy, Coinbase, and GBTC on the dip? Well, let's find out. We earn over $200,000 per year in dividends here at this channel, and a lot of Bitcoin doesn't pay us much in dividends, but Microstrategy and Coinbase do because we use Yieldmax, and so Coney and MSTY is how we play Bitcoin, but with the large dividends, and that's how we get these outsized dividends of around $200,000 per year. Also, on a year-to-date basis, we're outperforming all the indexes. We're up 11.79%. The S&P is up 7, the Nasdaq's up 6, the Dow's up 1, and the Russell's down 1. Also, on a daily basis, we're down $9,000 today, but that's only 1%. As you can see above, the Dow is down 1.49, the Nasdaq was down 2%, and the S&P was down 1.57. So we're beating all the indexes on a year-to-date basis and on a daily basis, even though we use margin debt to get ahead. Yes, everyone thinks that when you use margin, your whole account's going to get destroyed when you have a down day, but I'm living proof to show you that actually we can outperform on a down day and live the FIRE lifestyle, which means financially independent, retire early. If you need help doing the same, email me for my e-guides at akintodd48@gmail.com. Yes, for every $1 you put in your account, you get $4 of purchasing power, and I just use a fraction of that purchasing power to get ahead. All of the greats that I know of use debt to get ahead, and I'm just trying to get ahead myself. This margin debt of around $320,000 is low interest. I've negotiated it down twice. Many of my clients who bought my e-guides did the same thing. I say the same thing in every video because I get questions about my margin debt in every video if I don't say that I've negotiated my margin rates down. People will say, well, if your margin rate is 13%, how is this a viable strategy? Well, actually, most of my dividends are over 13%. Most are north of 20% or 50%. So I'm not even worried about my margin interest. But when you have a lot of margin on like I do, you want to have the lowest interest possible, and you can negotiate that down. Also, my dividends of around $250,000 per year will pay back my margin debt in around 1 year. So I'm not worried about the risk of margin debt because the leverage goes away. And as you saw from my previous video on margin is not as scary as you think. It's not like when your account goes down, your margin debt goes up or something like that. Not like a short selling position. So you can even outperform on down days when you use this amount of margin, which, as you can see, we're only down 1% today. It just depends on what funds you buy. You have to have the right allocation of Cornerstone, Yieldmax, and Defiance, and Bitcoin. If you want to follow my portfolio to see how I get this outperformance, just click the join button on my wall, or I'll link it in the description below. So GBTC, let's go look at a chart of this first. We had a break of the 50-day moving average. So this made me want to increase my shorts. Okay, I bought some BITI because of this break of the 50-day moving average. Now, this is not looking good for Bitcoin as a whole. So let's go look at MicroStrategy. It was down 17% today. Well, that's a lot more than the index. That's why I like to go with indexes, because when the indexes fall, you fall by less in the indexes than you do by the stocks. MicroStrategy is a perfect example of that. That's why I park most of my money in Cornerstone. Cornerstone is a 4-star fund, and I have about $400,000 parked in Cornerstone because it's low maintenance and it is the index, okay? When you want to live the FIRE lifestyle, you have to watch maintenance, and if you go to a maintenance tab of MicroStrategy, you'll see it's 100%. So you can't even own MicroStrategy if you want to live the FIRE lifestyle. But if you own MSTY, you'll see that it is 50% maintenance, and it has 150% dividend, as you can see right here. So 150% dividend and 50% maintenance, much lower than GBTC. However, it doesn't move up like GBTC. The upside is capped somewhat, even though MSTY's been doing great. We're up 100% in MSTY, and we're receiving 100% in dividends. So MSTY has been a great play for us, but it's still 50% maintenance, whereas CRF is 30% maintenance, okay? This is the secret to the FIRE lifestyle. If you need help understanding maintenance, that's in my Volume 3 e-guide. So even if Bitcoin is cheap, even if we want to buy more Bitcoin here, it's 50 to 100% maintenance, so you have to be very careful about your buys. Now, I like to only buy things that have dividends. That way they pay down my margin. That way there's not a lot of risk when you use margin debt, because again, the dividends pay down your margin. Also, whenever you have losses in anything, your dividends will pay you back eventually in full. So you never have to worry about losing when you own dividend paying names, because if you have a 20% dividend, like in Cornerstone's case, well, in 5 years, you're paid back in full. Also, Cornerstone just keeps outperforming on down days. If you go to a chart of Cornerstone today, you'll see that it was up 0.27%, okay, whereas the market was down 2%. So Cornerstone follows the market, okay, but it actually outperforms on down days, as I've been saying in all my past videos, and on up days, it can even outperform the market. Some days, on up days, it's not up as much as the market, of course, but we have all this margin leverage on. That's how we continue to outperform. So when we have big up days in the market, let's say we're up 1%, then you'll see generally, an up $8,000 day in my account. And if we have a down 1% day in the market, well, we follow the market pretty well, and we're down 9,000, except the market was down 2% today, as you can see above. Bitcoin was down 5 or 6% today. Microstrategy was down 17% today, but we were only down 1%. And again, we used $300,000 of margin. How is this possible? Because margin is not as scary as everyone thinks. A lot of people use margin, you just don't know about it. How did Elon Musk buy Twitter? He bought it with margin. All the greats use debt to get ahead, once again, and margin doesn't show up on a credit check. Okay, so if you use this margin to get dividends and then those dividends pay back your debt, well, not only does that pay back your debt and help pay your bills, but also it doesn't show up on a credit check to banks. So all these dividends just keep giving you qualifying income to banks for more loans so you can keep leveling up your account, but it doesn't show up on a credit check. The bad debt, this debt, it's good debt. So since it doesn't show up on a credit check, you can keep getting more loans from banks to live the FIRE lifestyle. I don't just get business loans to level up my E-Trade account. I also get housing loans, car loans, personal loans, whatever you need from dividends that a job would normally give you. You have to have a pay stub to get these loans typically, or dividends. You can't use trading gains because trading gains don't qualify to banks for loans because they are so up and down and inconsistent. Plus, most traders lose to the indexes over time. 90% of traders cannot beat the indexes. So Bitcoin had a break of the 50. Is it time to buy MicroStrategy? Well, I'm going to nibble on MicroStrategy. Okay, but I'm not going to be buying big because stocks fall by large amounts. I have most of my money in the indexes once again. That's why I put so much of my money in Cornerstone and Defiance. Also, I put my money in Yieldmax and Yieldmax. I like to put my money in the funds. Now, if anyone has questions on why Cornerstone falls, it's because it has dividends and drips. Okay, so you have to factor back in dividends, drips, and rights offerings if you want to know why it goes sideways to down on its chart but continues to move upward left to right on a Morningstar chart. Okay, you have to factor back in dividends and drips and play this fund around its rights offerings. If you need help understanding the rights offerings, that's in my volume 4 e-guide. So I anchor my portfolio with Cornerstone, Yieldmax, and Defiance, and I buy MicroStrategy and Coinbase for Yieldmax, but I don't buy much of them. Okay, Coney, let's go look at a chart of Coney. Coney is also 50% maintenance, just like most Yieldmax funds. Beware. You can go to other brokers for lower maintenance, but they might not have the special drip for Cornerstone. Cornerstone also has a 21% dividend that it drips down at the NAV for free money every month. No other fund in the world does this that's linked to the indexes. That's why I put, again, so much of my money in Cornerstone. And beware, if you go to another broker with lower maintenance, they might not have that special drip for Cornerstone. I just want to remind you of that. So Coinbase, let's check this out. Coinbase also had a tag of the 100-day moving average, similar to MicroStrategy, as you can see here, almost tagging the 100-day moving average or 200 a share. So when this hits 200 a share, I will most likely buy more because this 200 share number is the old resistance here from 2024. So this looks like a healthy place to start nibbling, not to buy big in any of these stocks because I don't buy any stocks big. As you know, they can all fall huge and they can really take down your performance. So I put, again, most of my money in the indexes. I also have a large amount of money in BITX because it's the double leveraged Bitcoin ETF. So it's still the index, but it's double leveraged. So it helps me outperform while also not blowing up on a given down day for Bitcoin. Because, I mean, MicroStrategy was down 17% versus BITX being down 13%. That's a pretty big difference. 5 to 7% still matters when you're trying to outperform the market. So is it time to buy more Bitcoin? No one knows. No one has a crystal ball, but I'll tell you that it's approaching support. So I'll be nibbling on these shares, rebalancing my positions back to their core amounts. Okay, and remember, when you buy my e-guide, you get free access to the Discord chat room for life and my phone number where we alert you of the Cornerstone rights offering announcement. We have nearly 1,000 members here in the Discord chat room pursuing the FIRE lifestyle. So if you ever have any questions that I can't answer, you can ask them and they will most likely be able to answer your question. Remember that my phone number is free as well when you buy my e-guide, so you can call me anytime you have a question. Just please text me first for a heads up. And if you want to follow my portfolio to see how I'm outperforming the markets, just click the join button on my wall again, or I'll link that in the description below. And I'll talk to you soon, everyone. Thanks.